So the title given on the program says National Borders of the Orthodox Church. And we remain within the critical framework here, certainly, but perhaps the turn will be a little bit not what is expected. So I request your attention, and I will not be too long because I hope that I'll receive questions from you, because I would like to explore this, what I'll be proposing. Synodality and conciliarity, together with autocephaly, have become trendy words these days. Synodality, as an example to follow, has been referred to by the Roman Pontiff in his latest documents on the Roman Catholic Church. So the Youth Synod held in October 2018 in Vatican was reflecting on the meaning and potential of synodality. For Pope Francis, the most appealing in it is the idea of walking together, camminare. And he sees this walk to be shared by the clerics and lay people. It is true that in his inaugural speech at IOTA opening conference, Metropolitan Callistos mentioned presence of lay people with regard to synodality. But during the last 50 years, at least, the Orthodox Church has not shown many cases of understanding synodality in that way. Classical understanding of synodality according to the Orthodox ecclesiology is walking together of local or national churches. Whether this path is shared both by clerics and lay has not been discussed at any Orthodox synaxes of the local churches in the last at least 50 years, unfortunately. So nationalism lies at the heart of the Orthodox ecclesiology. However, unlike some other ecclesiological aspects, nationalism shows a good balance between structural, historical, political, and spiritual. Autocephaly, for example, does not give a sign of such a balance. It goes without saying that such categorization is not natural to the Orthodox thinking. We are accustomed to reveal the nationalistic nature of the local Orthodox churches and condemn ethnophilitism, identification of the church with one nation, of abusing the church or abusing the church by nationalistic tribalism. To go back to the classical understanding of synodality, one of the major obstacles to walking and talking together for the local churches has been their national interest. Camminare is blocked or slowed down by national interests. The content of the national interest stretches from geopolitics to cultural identity. It is a very long list. Today, nationalism in the Orthodox Church cannot be reflected without placing it in the context of recent scholarship on nationalism and ethnicity at the age of globalization. Questions are persistent questions. How does nationalism in the Orthodox Church respond to the modernist thinkers who believe in recent creation of nations in the last couple of centuries, or how the Orthodox nationalism adapts to the nation states? In most cases, today's literature on the issue presents a contradiction between the primordialists and modernists in black and white polarization, and it is not helpful for our discussion. Ernest Gellner, in his writings on nationalism, says that not all social phenomena in construction of nationalism are modern. Rather, culture and power are perennial. Culture, however, is persistent and unstable at the same time. And this process of fluctuation has its own trajectory, which is unknown to us. According to Gellner, emergence of nationalism has been linked to a transition to industrial scientific world. Now I quote, "Homogeneity of culture determines political boundaries in the modern industrial scientific world. And the transition to industrial is also the transition to a world in which high literacy and education become the pervasive culture of society as a whole. Well, I would argue that homogeneity of the Christian culture and literacy to serve or feed this culture have been characteristic to the Christian ethos from the very beginning. Also, ethnic nature of local churches led to nationalism expressed culturally and politically, nurturing local cultures in vernacular and setting political boundaries with the help of self-governing church. At times of withdrawal of political power, church independence could survive, but would not remain intact. I will give a short example of the Orthodox Church of Georgia. Although Georgia, an example is not paradigmatic, it may lead to some helpful analysis. Amidst the Byzantine domination in the ecclesial matters of the Eastern Christian states, as early as in the 5th century, Georgian King Vakhtang Gorgasali, who died in the beginning of the 6th century, sought independence for the church in Georgia. The main goal of the ecclesial independence, or autocephaly, was to maintain control over the church, which would translate also into the political power. Local resources were used as means for maintaining this independence. Language spread by the translated and original writings, language spread by the liturgical life. King Vakhtang got it right from the beginning. His political influence would be well supported by the self-governing church that also naturally would promote its ethnicity. In my view, this is an example of creating a nation in the pre-industrial times. Perhaps the contemporary tribalism noticed in our ecclesial mentality and its feudal structure today are the legacy of the early nation-making. The idea of strengthening independence of a local church through one's own resources is already a kind of tribalism with a potential to develop into nationalism and into imperialism. The national imperialistic ecclesiology from Byzantium to Russia has been the most damaging influence for the Orthodox Church. Unfortunately, nothing has been done so far to study the legacy of imperialism in ecclesiology of local churches. In my view, this requires a contextual study of the issue in each place, regardless how this legacy is accommodated politically. When Adrian Hastings studies how ethnicities turn into nations, he refers to the vernacular, oral or written literatures, as well as the translation of the Bible. Making a cultural production from early centuries of the Christian era in a way links with strengthening the political influence through using one's own resources, among which the language is a dominant phenomenon. Does globalization help the Orthodox Church get rid of damaging influence of the national boundaries? Under the massive migration, very many Orthodox communities today live under the imaginative cultural boundaries, invoking sometimes these images instead of the Holy Spirit. This tendency reveals the deficient character of this ecclesiology, which in theory claims to be above any context, but in reality is bound to an imaginative context, one that does not correspond to any reality known to any particular ethnic group. In most cases, these imaginative cultural boundaries are imbued with pride for the past glory. In the article on globalization and citizenship, we read that nation-state model today, in the age of globalization and migration, cannot offer an adequate basis for societal belonging. Membership of an imagined cultural community bears danger of isolating the members from political and social life. It seems that such tendencies create ground for social division and conflict. From studies on globalization versus nation states, we learned that in spite of a process of strengthening global interaction, it is too early to assume a rapid decline of nation states or to foster an idea of single global society. At present, striking is the expansion of soft geopolitical powers causing unprecedented segmentation of the globe. One of the most remarkable features of the global networks is absence of singular or systemic principle of interaction or integration. All these features of globalization are new challenges to the Orthodox Church today. The above-mentioned trends in current global climate suggest that nation-states are not to give up their national interests in the foreseeable future. The Orthodox Church must be alert to those new challenges. The new challenges could bring more segmentation to the Church and affect synodality in irreversible way. While the Orthodox need to think hard how to cultivate Orthodox ecclesiology without damaging it by fantasies about the glorious past. Nationalism in the Church, undeniably linked to the political power, needs much more careful consideration than identifying it with ethnophilitism. Only a solution lies in common reflection and shared responsibility at places like this in Ireland.